Welcome to the Bloom Room.
Welcome back to the Bloom Room, Relationship Edition. On this episode, we'll be exploring the mother and daughter dynamic. I'm joined by a woman full of insight, Dr. Tonya Phillips.
I'm so honored that, one, you have this topic to talk about, but two, you chose me and my daughters, right, to blend this because we know what we know, particularly in Black communities.
Next up, my mom, Frances Cuesta.
It has definitely been a roller coaster journey. I think it is a very valid point that Shanae made that when I had her, I was still young, I was still learning, I was still growing, I was so broken.
Then we have Ashlie Nowlin.
If I had to answer, at first I was going to say I admire my mom's strength, but I find that a lot of people correlate being strong as a Black woman with not being able to also be human or have moments of essentially weakness.
Last but certainly not least, Dr. Bri Phillips.
I am a new mom. My daughter just turned 1, and it has definitely been a beautiful experience. And my mom always leaned into, you can do hard things, yes, even through the delivery. I was like, what are we gonna do?
Before we dive in, I want you to know that this conversation was so rich, we had to split it into 2 parts. This is part 1, and trust me, you'll want to stay for both.
Hi everyone, and Happy New Year. I am so excited to bring back another episode of the Bloom Room, Relationship Edition. Today's topic of discussion is the mother and daughter dynamic. Today I am so excited to be joined by Dr. Tonya Phillips and her 2 daughters, Ashlie Nowlin and Bri Phillips. And of course, my mom, Frances Cuesta, and of course, I am your host, Shanae Marie. The goal of this is to create a safe space, and not only just for our shared lived experiences, but for healing. And I'm hoping that those that watch not only get takeaways from this, but maybe you can sit down and you can have these kind of hard, but good conversations, necessary conversations with your family members. So stay tuned, and here we go.
The Bloom Room.
All right, ladies, welcome to the Bloom Room.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Thank you for having us.
So the first question at hand is, when you think back on your relationship during childhood, what is the moment that shaped how you relate to each other today?
I'll jump in.
All right.
If I think back to childhood, my mom always instilled that we take care and protect one another. So as siblings growing up, it was always, watch out for your sisters. We have a brother, so he was definitely like our protector. And I think that has instilled in me the importance of protecting your family. Growing up, now I'm teaching my children, like, we are family, we protect one another. While yes, we may have differences of opinions, we argue, we never disrespect, and we always make sure to have the hard conversations. Like you said, and my mom always says, HARD is an acronym. It's honest, appropriate, respectful, and direct. So those conversations we have to have and be open to feedback, even if it makes us uncomfortable.
Yes.
I think the values of family. We were raised, I think Ashlie spoke to protecting each other, but I also think just family, this is who we are, the good, the bad, the ugly. We stick together, one band, one sound, right? Even when we didn't want it or didn't agree, this is the principle. And I think that really shaped us, even when we fight and don't like our siblings, right? One band, one sound, and what happens in our house, it don't just stay in our house, but this is a thing that we can talk about and have those conversations and be able to move forward together. So, yeah.
I'd say for me, the one thing that I can think of that makes us just so unique is just me having a young mom. And I think that, my mom had me, you were what, 20 when you had me?
I was pregnant at 20, had you 21.
And just what comes with that, you already don't have a blueprint for motherhood. You already, you're thrown into something and you don't know what it is that you're actually doing until you're actively doing it, right? And so you add in the young factor. It's essentially my mom, we grew up together. And, there is a lot of good that comes with that character-wise, but there was a lot of shit that came with that, if I'm being honest. And, I think that through the years, what allows us to connect is being able, once again, to have those hard conversations, those uncomfortable conversations, the conversations that we aren't necessarily comfortable with, but fighting over that discomfort to get to the other side, which is healing, to get to the other side, which is, you know, radical transparency, radical honesty. And it takes work. And, you know, sometimes I think that we like to think that we can sit down, have this conversation with our parents, and boom, that's it, healed. And like, no, a lot of my childhood was like fighting to be heard. You know, my mom wasn't ready. She wasn't ready to be receptive yet. But, you know, it takes time to get to that place within yourself to have those honest conversations. Even in moments where we have to walk away from the conversation, my brain is just constantly thinking about it. My body is processing it. My spirit is processing it. And then we come back together and we can have another conversation about it that feels a little bit better.
It's interesting you talk about the youth, because that's my testimony too. I had both of them by the time I was 21. I was a mother of 3 children by the time I was 21. The thing about their childhood, and sometimes I feel like it backfires on me, right? Because I was intentional about creating strong, independent powerhouses, right? That was in my mind. And one thing that I always said to my girls is speak your truth. No matter where it falls and how it falls and who it falls on, speak your truth. Whew, I didn't think that I would be the person. But what I value the most about their life, their lived experiences with me, is I'm not the easiest mom. And I know that because expectations and demands and almost levels of perfection, I'll say it, I'll just say it out loud, is kind of what was expected of them. Execute the mission. This is who we are. This is what we do. I hold high values, and I've always held high values of them. But when they come back and say to me, Ma, you're doing the most. Ma, it feels this, it feels that. That doesn't always feel good to me. But I cannot refute they're doing exactly what I told them to do. I just didn't expect it to be me. That they would set these firm boundaries with. And I have to respect that, as hard as it is.
You still struggle.
I do. You hear me. I struggle. I struggle significantly because I'm mother. Right? I know what's best for you, but not always. Right? So really valuing them and honoring the most important relationship to me is my relationship with my children. I always stand on which R do I want? Do I want to be right, or do I want relationship? And I want relationship over right. So that always corrects me, condemns me. That is the value that brings me back to purpose, to say, they matter most to me.
As it relates to Shanae and I, you know, it has definitely been a roller coaster journey for the both of us. And I think it is a very valid point that Shanae made, that when I had her, I was still young, I was still learning, I was still growing, I was so broken. And I think that's the very point that is very valid. I think I don't know if it's a difference or a similarity between you and us, but I was very broken. And so I was trying to be a mom when I couldn't even be there for myself. And there were so many lessons and so many parts of me that needed healing, but through it all and through those unhealed versions of myself, I still had to show up for her. And that was a very difficult thing to do, you know, because you have to adjust to it emotionally and mentally. And, you know, one thing that must be said is that we often carry the luggage of a couple of things. We carry the luggage of what wasn't taught to us mentally and emotionally, you know, and we can only give what we have and what we know, and then the rest is up to us to learn. So there came a part in that journey that she forced me to learn.
Absolutely.
Right? She forced me. She was like, oh no, Mom, you know, she kept bringing up the word heal. No, you need to heal. I need more of you. I need the more healed version of you. As she got older, she demanded more. She wanted more from Mom. you know? And so, like she said, there came a point in my life where I wasn't ready, because it meant me looking at myself in the mirror and saying to myself, I don't have it. I need to learn it. I need to go to therapy. I need to, talk to someone. I need to heal, to not just be a better mother, but to be a better person and an individual for myself. And that was the foundation. And the minute I chose to do that, and I made the intentional choice to do that, is when our relationship began to pivot in the right direction.
What is something you admire about each other now that you didn't fully appreciate in earlier seasons of your relationship? Who wants to go first?
I'll start. So earlier, my mom was, and still is, a very much social butterfly. So anywhere we go, she's talking, she knows somebody, and the child that's like ready to go and like, oh, come here, meet this person. You're like, okay, how much longer? So I think when I was younger, it was more of a burdensome, like, here's this person. As I got older, I think appreciate that in a different asset-based driven, like very resourceful, can know anybody and walk in the room, make connection. And I think that's what makes her. I think that's what makes us human, and be able to relate that on the other side for myself. So I think that was one of the things.
You admire that she's social.
Absolutely.
It's crazy you say that, Brianna, because the thing that I think that I used to hate about you was your distance. Ashlie talked a lot about family being everything to me. If you notice, we gotta beg Brianna to come on trips. We gotta beg, because Brianna is about her time, her space, how she wants to. This kid does everything different. Who has a live-in nanny? This one, right? She just no. She just does everything different, right? And I would get angry with that, when she was younger, because I didn't understand. Like, excuse me, flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. I expected her to be, more like us, and connect with us. And that energy sometimes is just too much for her. It's not that she hates us, but the energy within itself is just too much. So what I've learned to admire and respect about Brianna is she's immensely reserved. She is immensely reserved. She's private. How she lives her life is very private. And I've learned to respect that, because everything is not for everyone. And I'm learning that. For Ashlie, Ashlie grew up telling us that she was going to allow her children to run around the house with pans on their head.
Live freely.
Did she not? So she said, when we were at home, and God knows if my son he's going to watch this, because I told him that we were doing this today. We used to joke Ashlie, because Ashlie is Mother Bear. For everybody. She's my middle child, but she's everybody's mother. And she said that her children were not going to have rules, because John and I had too many rules. Her children wouldn't be able to do whatever they wanted to do. Her house looks very lived in, because my grandchildren get to do whatever they want to do. And they are, well, of course, within reason, but they are very free-spirited. There is not a room in her house that looks unlived in, and not from a messy perspective, but just free. Ashlie's home Ashlie's the mother bear, and I respect her so much, because I can just go to her house and grab a blanket and lay on the couch, and I know that she's going to make me some soup. So I honor these girls so much, and I'm gonna cry because they are in their 30s. They are so much more than I am in their 30s. And I don't just speak from material possessions. They both own homes and own stuff and material possession. I'm just honored that the value that I've stood on for them is that they will never spend a desperate day in their life. That the deed is yours, the car is yours. Whatever it is that you want, you are the chief executive officer. And they stepped in that so gracefully. So I honor you both for that.
Oh. If I had to answer, at first I was going to say I admire my mom's strength, But I find that a lot of people correlate being strong as a Black woman with not being able to also be human or have moments of essentially weakness. And I don't find it weakness because I think humans often go through things that make their experiences different. But sometimes when we hear, oh, she's so strong, I honestly take it as offense because I don't want to be seen as strong because sometimes I go through things. But I love and admire my mom's resilience. And I say resilience because my mom has had all the odds against her. And if you know my mom's story, 14 with a baby, no one thought she would be who she is today. And I admire that because it reminds me that there are no limits. There is no linear way to get to success. And I remind myself every day when I have all of these pipe dreams. My mom told y'all about the pots and pans, but trust me, it goes beyond that. There isn't one linear path to what you want to do. And even when people say you're going to be nothing or you're not going to be successful, that's not up to them. So I think reminding myself about my mom's resilience allows me to remember, like, girl, you can pass organic chemistry.
Yes, indeed.
If your mom say you can do it, she said you can do it because she believes in you. And I really do admire that about my mom, like her resilience to essentially prove people wrong. Like everything you're saying about me, watch me. Give me a minute, I'm gonna do it.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw a TikTok. You passed organic.
Yes, she's organic.
Yes, I did.
I'm like, if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw that.
So look, she called all of us. She called each of us with the plan to drop out.
Yes.
And can I tell what you're doing?
Yeah.
Ashley's going to school to pursue medical school. She's going to become a psychiatrist. And it's really challenging her. So she's called all of us, and every one of us had the exact same answer. Call us tomorrow. Bye. No one knew. We knew she was not going to drop out because it's just not what we do. So she called me, talk about I passed. I'm like,
duh. Okay. All right. Of course you did.
All right. And that resilience always reminds me, like, nothing can stop you but you. Right? You are the only barrier that you can't get through. So if I had not went to take my final, if I dropped out, because I keep saying I'm gonna be a college dropout, y'all. Again. But if I had,
the doctorate program,
if I had not pushed through, I would have regretted it. I would have been angry with myself for making that decision. So my mom's resilience essentially pushes me and letting me know, like, oh, it's nothing you can't do. I think I could do brain surgery if they give me the opportunity. But, you know, they say you got to take tests. And
I'm like 18 seasons Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah,
so I feel like
we can do it.
Yeah, we can do it.
You know.
Mom, you want to go?
Yes. So the one thing that I can say that when Sinead was younger that I've always like, oh, you know, I always cringe, is that mouth of hers, right?
Not Sinead.
Not cringe. Me?
It's that mouth, you know, always having an answer, always applying logic, always feeling like, you know, I'm not gonna take this. I'm gonna challenge it, right? And so when I look at her then and then I look at her now, look what she's hosting. All right, look at what she's hosting. She's hosting a show, right? And so that she's always had that gift. And also it's just I struggled, especially in the middle years, a little bit in the 20s and really in the 20s.
You can say it. You still struggle with it. It's okay.
In the 20s, it's her, you know, her truth, speaking her truth, right? And I think as parents, I think we always struggle. We will always struggle with, you know, hearing the truth from our children. But as much as it can be challenging, it's also rewarding to see your children operate from a space of authenticity. Because if you're able to really talk your truth, then you're walking in you know, truly into your authentic self. So I admire that of you, daughter.
Thank you, Mom. And you took the words right out of my mouth. The word that I was going to use for my mom is resilience. Her story, no different than yours. You know, it's the odds were stacked against you. It truly was. And it's not something that you can understand until you are a grown woman yourself, or you've experienced life. Like, now I can look at her, and now I'm a mom. I see it so clear now. What you had to, don't you do it.
No, I'm not. I'm trying so far. I ain't gonna promise it's gonna be that way.
Too early in the season, too early in the episode.
Yeah.
But, you know, really see it so clear as day what you had to conquer to get to where you are, and you did not let it stand in your way. We are currently at my mom's place of business. You know, she owns this. It is Reinvent Youth Spa and Wellness, located at 1321 Bedford Avenue, Suite A and B.
That's
maybe half gym, half group fitness space, and then a half spa. Okay, it's incredible. You're incredible, but I could not appreciate just how incredible your mind and your spirit is from a young age. I was so full of resentment. I was so full of, you did this to me. You know, I don't even know if I was happy for you, because you did this to me. What about that? You know? And now I'm like, no, I had to do my work. And then once I did my work and I gave myself grace and I forgave myself, then I'm able to, you know, forgive you, of course. But I'm able to look at you with beauty now. It is a lens of like, wow, you are really doing the damn thing. You really are, and you show up when you're tired, like, and you've always been that way. The carousel never stops, and I don't feel like she ever put a foot down to try to make it stop. You know, a lot of us are like, you know, we're holding on for dear life, and not to say that she isn't, but you do it with grace. You do it in a way that I'm just deeply inspired by. And when I think about the way that you show up, it pushes me to want to show up. So thank you.
Listening to you use the word resentments, all right? And I started thinking, like, my therapeutic brain, about the strongholds that exist between mother and daughter relationships. And I'm so honored that, one, you have this topic to talk about, but two, you chose me and my daughters, right, to blend this, because we know what we know, particularly in Black communities, mother-daughter relationships can easily become toxic, right? And I think one of the probably the largest ideology that I have to consistently chop down is a hierarchy in a relationship, right? Learning to parent adult daughters is really, I don't want to use challenging as much as rewarding, but there has to be a paradigm shift psychologically in respecting, Fran said, speaking your truth, respecting that some ways that I think, according to my generation, may not be the best.
But isn't that what you do at all stages of development? Because my 4-year-old doesn't need me to parent her like I would my 13-year-old. He needs a different mom. So I have to understand those different dynamics as they continue to grow. So by the time your child does get to adulthood, shouldn't you have worked through, and I say shouldn't you have, like people do, but we expect, our expectations kind of mess us up. But I expect when my son or my daughter gets to a certain age, I am able to parent them at that age because I've paid attention to the different stages of development.
I think that's the point that you're making.
That's
is that you'd be surprised how often that does not happen.
Yeah. Right? Because listen what Fran said. Fran said, I had to learn and accept that I don't have what this growing child needs. I think a lot of brown mothers, I think we're so busy providing, right? The grind,
surviving,
right? The grind of survival, the grind of
Yeah.
survival. I think we fail, and maybe intentionally, maybe not intentionally, but we fail to grow with our children and listen to words that they may not even have to tell us what they need. So that has probably been one of the largest growing curves and growing needs for me, is to accept that I have 2 grown daughters that need different things from me.
And then you take that, and I think you pair it with also generational.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, let's talk about the whole generational thing too, right? because in a certain generation, we grew up with the fact, I know I grew up with my voice. I had no voice growing up. None.
Because you were disrespectful if you did.
If I even talked back and my mother said, do this, and I gave some type of logical explanation behind it, I was being disrespectful. So when you grow in that kind of environment, and now you're trying to grow with your children, right? Now you have to create that shift of break the cycle, that generational cycle of understanding that doesn't fit anymore in the mold of where you're at. Right. And sometimes that is not as easy.
It is not easy.
It's not.
Because the outside belief is, and I hear it all the time in therapy world, I turned out fine.
Yeah.
Look at me. No.
You
You
really
didn't. You really didn't. So, and not, I praise God for the, the ancestral lineage that I come from, but women and girls just were not allowed to have opinions that were contrary to what the leader's opinion was. And that I watch my daughters with their girls, and it's like, whoa, they can do that?
Yeah.
Right? They can stay up later, and not judging them, but that's a different, from how I grew or how I raised them.
Do you feel that way?
Yeah,
like when you
definitely. When I sometimes see, the way you respond to certain things with Leilani,
Is it the gentle parenting thing? Because I'm still learning about that.
I don't gentle parent. I have no limit soldiers.
So
I
don't think it's about the gentle. I think it goes back to something Ashlie said. It's about being free, right? It's the freedom of expression and the freedom for her to do certain things that I would have never in a million years be allowed to do at her age, right?
Or allow me to do.
Or allow her to do at her age. And it's like I sit back and, there's one thing that Shanae and I typically don't ever really argue about is her parenting Leilani.
No, not ever.
Because I don't. I feel I've raised my two children. I've had my turn, and now it's her turn to parent Leilani. And so whether it aligns with my belief system or not, I fall back. And unless she brings something to me and she wants my opinion, and she wants my opinion, is when I speak and when I share. But she does her thing, but sometimes I'll be like, ooh.
Sometimes I parent out of how I was parented. So I'm not as rigid. Love you. I'm not as rigid as my mom used to be. And I say used to be because I do feel like my mom has transitioned a long way from where she was. But I find myself not doing certain things that I feel like older parents would have. Like an example, and it's a simple example, but in my home, everybody gets their own cereal. Whatever cereal you like, that is your choice. We have about 7 boxes of cereal open, and my mom loses her mind every time she comes over because she's like, why is there so much cereal open? And I'm like, here, if they eat it, it's theirs. They can do what they want, because I don't want them to feel restricted in their choices. They're allowed to have choices. They're humans, they have opinions, and I let them live freely in that sense. So it's like I make sure I don't do certain things that I felt uncomfortable with as a child or growing up, because I don't want my children to feel uncomfortable. Now those core principles and values I instill 100%, but some things I'm just like, mine's never that deep. Like it's just cereal. If they want Lucky Charms and Cheerios, they can have them.
I mean, I resonate with that so much. A lot of my parenting is based off of my own personal experience with how I was raised by my mom. Like I said, when we speak on resentment, when we speak on the things that truly hurt us, I think in my mind, even, I think when I first got pregnant with Leilani, we were still pretty tumultuous then. But just making a promise to myself that I never want my daughter to feel this way, and acknowledging what is it that I am experiencing, what is the gap between us, labeling that, and that way I'm able to now from a deeper place understand it, and therefore I won't, transfer that over to Leilani. So I would say, mindful parenting. I wouldn't say I'm a gentle parent. It is mindful parenting. It is a listening parent. To wrap this and bring it full circle, I think the biggest word that I can use is mindful parenting, and really taking my life's experiences as well as conversations that my mom and I have had, all the things, and making sure that I am my own way and breaking those generational curses, you know, where it doesn't transfer. Like, you know, grandma had her mom and there was a lot with that, then her with you, and some things stopped with me, and there's no going around that. I made up a decision, even when I knew I was going to be a single mom. That didn't stop a damn thing. It stops with me. And it's very clear as day when, you know, for those who know my beautiful daughter, she's incredible, and she is just so full of light. She speaks how she feels, and, you know, I am so proud of how it is so obvious I am her safe person. And she might not talk to anybody else about it, but she gonna come knocking on my door and she's gonna talk to me about it. And I worked damn hard to make sure that was the outcome. So I hope to keep that going, because I'm nervous about her going into her adolescent years. All right, ladies, next question. What has been the most surprising lesson motherhood or daughterhood has taught you about yourself?
I think mine is twofold. So I think motherhood and daughterhood, the first is grace. And that in motherhood for myself has been saving for sure. I am a new mom. My daughter just turned 1, and it has definitely it's been a beautiful experience. And my mom always leaned into, you can do hard things, even through the delivery. I was like, what are we gonna do? Like, a whole story. But grace in terms of parenting for motherhood, myself to my daughter, but also lending that grace back. So I sit here, I think at age 30 with a different perspective than I had at my mom at 15 of like, yo, like she was growing up herself. She had a lot going on. Like, what is my daughter?
Mommy grace?
I do.
Oh.
It looks different, right? But I think what, in terms of mirror, like what am I mirroring to my child? Is my child able to extend that grace back to me? Because no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you work, things are never perfect, right? Like there is no playbook to motherhood and parenting, and I learned that for myself. Like what worked maybe for somebody else is not working for you, and that's okay, right? But I think being able to have that grace to give yourself that window, taking care of you, taking care of baby, like being able to balance, and that has been, I think for me, the most thing that I've learned.
I need to add, Brianna's baby is a boss baby. Let me be clear. She's a boss baby already. I think for me, what was it, the most surprising thing?
The most surprising thing.
Yeah, so you want me to read it one more time?
Yes, please.
What has been the most surprising lesson motherhood or daughterhood has taught you about yourself?
The surprising one was I'm more like my mama than I think I want to say I am out loud. You know, my mom and I are working gracefully at a lot of restoring. And I parented by, no, I'm never going to do this, and I'm never going to be that, and I'm never going to, and I did. And I still do a lot of times. And I do it, and now that I realize and I see it for me, I have better grace and understanding for my mother, because there are set standards and set ideas of what we need to be as brown women, and what we need to do to develop legacy and to protect, you know, so I get it. I get the formula behind it, but I think the most surprising thing to me is that I can be hard and vulnerable at the same time. And when I talk about hard is, I'm Tonya, I don't care what nobody think about me, I'm gonna be me. Whoa, I care what these two think about me, because this is the most important thing to me. So when there is error on my part, I'm quick to repent and repair, because this, like I could talk about strength and vulnerability, this is my strength, this is my future, right? Their eggs belong to me, right? Their legacy.
And understanding the gravity of
absolutely, I understand the gravity of that. I understand what matriarchal responsibility is. And that for me is way beyond these two, right? This is Avery and their children and who they're gonna attract. And if I mess up, right, the weight is too heavy to be playing tic-tac-toe. The weight is too heavy. So for me, the most valuable lesson, and as I age and they age and I see the generations coming, the most valuable lesson is it's okay to be fluid and solid. Right? Because if I'm too solid all the time, I can't reshape and reblend into nothing else. And I want to be so solid that I'm trustworthy, but fluid that I can hear them and grow.
Y'all are going so deep. And
I love it so much.
My answer is not deep at all.
Yeah, it's okay.
I was surprised to learn that sometimes I am the drama.
You?
Really?
Exactly.
Not the middle child.
Exactly. And I say that because I tell my mother more than once a day, girl, you are drama.
All the time.
And then I have a daughter who is drama.
Is the drama.
So now I'm like, wait a minute. Am I the drama? Do I give this off? And
Just a little.
yeah, okay. I was surprised initially.
Really?
But then I was like, it makes sense. And when I say I'm the drama, I'm going to give you all of the theatrics, the show, and I'm going to, be fine afterwards. But my daughter is going through this transition, and she's 5, where she does not know how to effectively say I'm upset or I'm feeling indifferent, because she's 5. And she has a range of emotions, but she sometimes has moments where she needs extra love. That's what I call it. So I say to her, like, Avery, is now a time where you need extra love? And she's like, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know why I'm feeling this way, because she can't put words to what she is feeling. So I take that opportunity to just hug her and love her. Like, we'll cuddle and we'll have just a girl's time. And then I think, wow, am I this dramatic with my feelings and emotions? And then my mother does something and I'm like, yes, okay. It makes sense completely. It's like full circle that I am part of the dramatic schemes that we all experience. So that's the most surprising to me right now, because I'm currently experiencing it as a mother and being a daughter. So
Good. I'll speak on what's surprising for me through motherhood. So it's funny that I speak on, my mom, and where we talk about, how I wanted her to be open to having these hard conversations, and, I wanted to be able to talk about my feelings and give you feedback. But it's funny that my daughter is now 8, and she, not that she's in a place to give me like strong feedback in a way of like from this place of like true depth or anything like that. Not yet. I know it's coming. But in her minor corrections, Mom, can I talk to you about something? And, she'll tell me, and like, I was surprised, like, oh, okay, this is how it really does not feel good. Like, okay, to be checked by your 8-year-old.
They will check you, yeah.
To be checked. And so I guess not that, maybe surprise isn't the right word, but I'm just going to go with surprise. Like, I'm surprised when it happens, and I'm surprised what my body feels.
Yeah.
But in that moment, it's like, okay, what are you going to do? Because she's giving you an opportunity to show her.
To get it right.
To show her, and I got to get it right. Immediate. Mom, you are absolutely right, and I apologize.
I hadn't recognized
that.
I did not.
Being able to apologize.
Yes. I don't play.
They
I don't
hold
play
us
about
accountable.
apologize.
It's different, especially because I think that power balance. You're like, I'm the mother. What do you mean? And having a daughter who's able to say, she says, "Mommy, you're using your loud voice." That means she doesn't like it. I'm yelling and she is not happy. So being able to say, I'm sorry that I made you feel uncomfortable. It's like, wait a minute, you're only 5.
Right.
Why am I having to say that to you? But I'm teaching her being able to speak up for yourself and being able to say when something makes you uncomfortable is okay.
Yep.
The model.
Yeah. And you're reducing the risk. I don't say absolute, but you're reducing the risk of her entering abusive relationships or entering spaces where she isn't valued.
Right.
Whew.
That was a good one too.
That's the work.
Yeah.
That's the work.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't answer.
I'm about to.
Okay.
The most surprising for me, probably it's a little combination of what Tonya mentioned. Is I fought so hard. There came a point in my life where I'm like, I will not be like my mother. I refuse to be like my mother. Right? Rest her soul. But what I realized is that there was so much of me that was her, right? But it is expected because you're raised by this person. right? And so you really, all your learning and your behaviors and your thought process often is wrapped around what you've been given the majority of your life.
That's the standard.
Yeah. And so then, that translated into my relationship with Shanae, and Shanae is her own individual. We have a lot of similarities in our demeanor, in our expression, our mannerism, but we
are vastly different.
Yeah, we are, and I love that. I love that she is her own person, and when you look back and I reflect back, that is something that I wish I was able to do, is to be able to walk in my own personal journey without it being so linked to my mother's pains, my mother's inabilities, and that hooked on to me.
Right.
That was surprising for me, because it was something that I don't think that was something I was willing to admit or even see for so long, and it took adulthood, it took clashing relationships with her often for me to kind of take the blinders off and see how much of that weighed even into our relationship and being able to move forward into a healthier version of a mother-daughter relationship.
I think too, the last thing I want to, I mentioned grace earlier, but I'll also say the surprising part is the grit. And nobody prepares you for that. So as a mom, you are balancing, and I give grace when I tell you, like, what I thought motherhood is and what it actually is. It's two different things, but I think the grit to keep going, to make sure everybody is well and yourself is well and work is well. So I think the grit, I think that's most surprising, and definitely kudos to moms with multiples, because it's definitely, I can't imagine. But the grit, and I don't think as women that is praised enough, and just holding things down, even when you have a partner or dad or whatever, it's still just a different level of motherhood that's needed, that you show up for. So that grit is definitely there.
Yes.
Thank you for holding space with us in part 1. Join us in part 2 to continue this conversation.